Welcome back, all my aspiring mathematicians. Today I am going to discuss with you a unit in algebra, which is the quadratic unit. Now, the unit of quadratics has a vast amount of topics, such as solving quadratic equation or even just simply graphing quadratic equation. But today I'm going to focus on how to convert a quadratic equation into a vertex form of equation. Now, the first thing that you need to know is that the quadratic equation is usually in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. That is the standard form of the quadratic equation. Now, if you're asked to write it into the vertex form is usually simply a parentheses x minus h parentheses to the second power plus k. Now, this is the vertex form of the quadratic equation. When a quadratic equation is in the vertex form, you can identify the vertex and you can also identify the axis of symmetry. Now, the vertex of the equation is usually simply the h value and the k value. The axis of symmetry, AOS, is simply x equal the h value. Let's get into our first quadratic equation that is in the standard form that I need to show you how to convert it into the vertex form of equation. So we have y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 5. There are a few steps that we need to take when we are changing it into the vertex form. Now remember, this is the standard form, and the vertex form we need it to look like this, where you'll have y equal, so we need y equal a parentheses x minus h close parentheses to the second power plus k. So the first thing that we are going to do here, we have our c value, and we need to take that c value and put it to the left side beside our y here. So we have y plus 5, and the reason we had to change the sign to plus is because it is minus 5 when it is to the right of the equation, and to get it to the left we have to change the operation sign from minus to a plus. So we have plus 5 here equal x squared minus 2x. So the next thing that we are going to do is that we are going to solve this like how we are solving completing the square. If you're not familiar with remembering how to solve completing the square, you can go back and watch my video on how to complete the square, and that will help you. So the next step, what we are going to do, we are going to take our b value, because this is our a value here, this is our b value, and this is our c value. We're going to take our b value, which is negative 2, so we need to do b divided by 2, and then we are going to raise it to the second power. My b here is negative 2, so negative 2 divided by 2 is going to be negative 1. And then I'm going to take that negative 1 and raise it to the second power, which is going to be 1. So what I'm going to do next, I am going to rewrite everything, but I'm going to include now that 1 on either side. So I have my y plus 5 equal x squared minus 2x. I'm rewriting everything, and I'm now going to put my 1 that I have here, I'm going to add it to the left side, and I'm also going to add it to the right side. So I'm adding it to the left first, which is 1 here, and I'm adding it to the right. Now what you must note is that this is because a is equal to 1 in this case. If a is greater than 1, then you have to take the a value and multiply it by that number, which I will show that to you in the next example. But for now, we are going to focus on what we have here. So I have to combine my like terms. So I will now have y plus 6 equal, we need to simply factor this out. And to factor this out, we will have two sets of binomial. If you don't remember how to factor out a quadratic equation, you can go back and also watch my video on that to help you. So we are taking the c value here, which is 1, but when we find the factors of c such that when we add them, it's going to give you the b value, which is negative 2. So the only factors that we have here, because we have a negative 2 here as a b term, this is a positive number. Both signs are going to be negative. So we have a negative 1 here and a negative 1. The next step that I need to do is that I'm going to rewrite this such that I will end up having it as simply a square. And what I need to do next, I need to get rid of this 6. So in order to get rid of the 6, I'm going to simply do the opposite sign of it. And I'm going to do it on the other side also. So now I can do this. This cancels out. I'm going to be left with y equal parentheses x minus 1 close parentheses raised to the second power minus 6. And from this, I can now go ahead and identify my vertex. Remember, my vertex would be simply our v is equal to our h value and our k value. Because my vertex is in the form of a parentheses x minus h, then I'm simply going to take out this 1. So my vertex here would simply be 1, comma, negative 6. And that's my vertex. And my axis of symmetry, which is AOX, is x equal the value of h, which is 1. So that is your axis of symmetry. So those are the two things that you can pull from an equation that is in the vertex form. And this would be your vertex form of the equation. This is your vertex form. Now, one thing I must say to you, notice there's no number here, which obviously would be an invisible 1. So this would have been your a value there, which would be your invisible 1. As you should know by now, I just don't like to give one example. Because guess what? I'm the type of person where variety is a spice of life. So I have to spice it up, or what we call zhuzh it up. And I'm going to give you an example where a is greater than 1. So let's get right into that. This given example that I'm going to change from standard form into the vertex form, you will notice here that your a value is 3. So this is your a equals 3. Your b value is negative 6. And your c value is 8. So we are going to follow the same format again. Step 1. We are going to bring that 8 over to the other side. And because it is positive, it is now going to be negative on this side. So you have y minus 8 equal 3x squared minus 6x. One thing you'll notice here that you have this binomial, and because you have 3 as your a value and negative 6 as your b value, you can use the GCF and apply to this to factor it out. And that is what we are going to do. So the next step is that you're going to rewrite it where you have to factor out your GCF. And so I'm going to take out my 3 and I'm going to be left with this. So the next thing we're going to do, we are going to apply completing the square just as we would. And so we're going to take the b value, divide it by 2, raise it to the second power. That b value that you are taking out here is that negative 2. So we're going to take out the negative 2, and negative 2 divided by 2, raise it to the second power here. That is going to give you negative 1 to the second power, which is simply going to be 1. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to add the 1 to this side. So I'm going to rewrite everything where I'm going to add the 1 to that side. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to rewrite my 3x squared minus 2x. And now I'm going to also write my y minus 8 here. And I'm going to keep my equal sign. But look for the trick here. I am going to add that 1 here. Close my parentheses. But I'm also going to multiply that 1 by what I took out as my GCF. I'm going to multiply this, and whatever I get, 3 times 1 is going to be 3. I'm going to add it to this side. The reason why you didn't see that in the first example is because the first example was an invisible 1 here, which would have been the same thing, 1 times 1 plus 1 here. So this, you have to make sure that you're doing that when a is greater than 1. Just be careful there. So now we are going to continue, and I'm going to have y, when I combine my like terms, negative 8 plus 3 is going to be negative 5 equal 3. And now I'm going to find two binomials, right? We're going to factor this out, factor out this trinomial. Once again, if you need help on how to factor out trinomial, you can go back and watch my video on how to factor trinomial, and that will help you. So I have my C term, which is 1. Factors of 1 such that when added is going to give me negative 2 is simply going to be negative 1. So we're not done here. Now I can rewrite this as a set, right, of square. And I have my y minus 5 here. The next step that I need to do now is that I need to bring this 5 over to the other side. Some book you may see them leave it as this, which is this would be in the form y is going to be minus your k value here. And so you have equal a parentheses x minus 8 raised to the second power. That's the form that it would be in. Because literally when you bring that minus k from the left side to the right side, it would now be a plus k, which would take you back to this format. So this is now finished. I'm going to continue because I'd rather write it in this format, but it's okay if you end up writing it in this format and you know to identify your h and k. So now I'm going to bring my 5 over to the other side. This would cancel out, and my answer here would be y is equal to 3 open parentheses x minus 1 close parentheses plus 5. And from this you can go ahead and identify your vertex and also identify your axis of symmetry. Now this is in the vertex form, and so that would suffice what you're asked to do for changing it from standard form into the vertex form of equation. Looking at this vertex form, you can identify your h and your k. So your vertex here would be 1, 5. And so because the vertex is 1, 5, not only that, you know that you can end up with the axis of symmetry, or what we call the AOS, and that would simply be your x equal your h value, and in this case it will be x equal 1. X equal a number is going to be your AOS, or we call it the axis of symmetry, and that is going to be a mirror image of what the graph looks like, meaning what is on the left of that line is also going to be the same thing on the right of that line. And these are the things that you need to know when you are also identifying certain things about your graph, and also can help you to graph based on these information. So in conclusion, when you are given a quadratic equation, you can change it from standard form, if it is given to you in standard form, to the vertex form. And when you do so, you will notice that in the standard form, it is given to you as y equal ax squared plus bx plus c. When it is changed into the vertex form, it is y equals a parentheses x minus 8 close parentheses to the second power plus k. Now your a would be your a value here. If a is 1, you're not going to have a number here. Whatever value that a is, you're going to find it right here in front of your equation. You will also notice that from your vertex form of the quadratic equation, you can identify your vertex, and you can also identify your axis of symmetry. I hope that this video has helped you tremendously, and now you know how to change a quadratic equation that is in the standard form into the vertex form of equation. Thank you for watching. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button. And if you have already subscribed, please go ahead and share my video with others around the world so they too can be knowledgeable on this topic. Thanks again and see you soon. Bye now. Cheers.